that I will pass out in the regular council meeting, and we can discuss those in a group, and as we move forward on the item number 2.
Item 3, ordinance amending section 6.4 of the Code of Municipal Code Business License Requirements for Event Centers.
All right. Excuse me, audience, can you hear us talking? You can't? Hey, we need these speakers on. Are these speakers on back here?
Test.
No, you can hear once the speakers are on. I can hear myself. Communication department. Over, can we get to speak? Can you hear me talking?
Yes.
All right, so I would ask that everybody else just speak into your mics, please.
Just talking to you, Mike.
Yeah, talking to your mic. Thank
Mr.
you.
President, Mr. President, on number 3,
Yes.
don't we have to address that before we address the budget?
Yes, we need to move those.
That money-
Item number 2. We'll address item number 3 before we do the budget. So we'll just move those when it comes time for the regular meeting. Good catch, Mr. Jim, right?
Well, I think we've got some, Mr. President, I think we've got a couple of questions.
Yes, item 4 will also have to be moved up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Those. Go ahead, Mr.
Councilor Johnson, I didn't know if on 3, you and I had spoken earlier about getting some clarifications on a couple of things that I messaged you. Are you wanting to move this? Are we able to?
We didn't schedule a public hearing, Mr. President.
We gave it a public hearing at our last meeting.
Was it during the budget hearing? Oh.
No, at our last meeting.
I mean, I think overall we just have some more, we just want to keep
We
getting.
didn't have to have a public hearing on that one.
Right, we just had to bring it out of committee, hear it over.
Okay.
All right, what was the question, Mr. Submission?
Well, I just was wondering what the, this came out of Councilor Johnson's committee, so I didn't know if she had a recommendation. I was hoping that we'd have a little bit more time, because a couple more questions have come to us about the structure of those. I want to make sure that we get this really right before we do it, because it is going to be a lasting impact. So,
Well, that's not part of it.
are you of that same opinion, Councilor Johnson?
I'm so sorry. Say it again for me, Andrew. I was talking.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I was just saying, I think we've still got questions on a couple,
Oh, yes.
few more items, and so what I was wondering is it your intention to carry this 2 more weeks so that we
No.
could take a look at it and make
No,
sure that we get this right?
We need to address the questions today, and what will be my recommendation, because we're voting on the budget tonight. These things affect the budget, so we carry those over 2 weeks as revenue that's going to generate with the budget. So that's what I mean. Thank you. We have any questions for Ms. Beville?
Yeah.
It came in out of the committee that you guys worked on, so
Okay.
let's try to work through the question before we
Sure.
move on through this.
It's one main question, Ms. Beville, from a couple of our, well, we don't have many, the builders, developer community, asking about the fees that we have set for them. Is there a way, because they go through the permitting process, to reduce their licensing fees?
Is there a way to reduce those fees?
Can we consider reducing those fees? And I know we pulled it out of committee already,
Right.
but just to minimize or go down a little bit. And I haven't had an opportunity, because I just got it. And I
Okay.
haven't had an opportunity to look at it.
And I'm going to ask Bob, could you come up, please, from our revenue division to talk about that? I mean, I was in the last committee meeting, and this budget that has been presented by Mayor Reed,
It's a
it
part of it.
includes the increases based on what was actually raised in the ordinance for those various niches for a business license. I am correct.
So, I mean, that was a question, and so we wanted to get it.
We're at the 9th hour right now. If we were back in June, I would say yes, but this budget, by law, it should be adopted before the 20th of September.
Right.
And today is the 17th, and the budget that was presented included the increases in business licenses, okay? To get it to 331 million.
But we don't know how much some of these people got increased. There's some businesses in this town that have no idea what the difference in the new fee is with that old fee. I don't know. The information I dug out last week and a half didn't give me enough information. I figured out what the attorneys are going to be. But that's the only one I could figure out with the information that was given to me. So
Did you not get a copy? I know we made it
I
public.
got a copy of the old fees that I got, the
the new
2013 fees, and I tried to compare them, but I did not know who they were. Now, Section N, Section M, whatever, all those schedules are applied to different businesses in Montgomery.
Correct.
I can't tell you with the information I've got who they are, and I don't think you can either.
Yeah, it was actually notated in there, and we
right.
opened them up, and
Where did
it's
you see
on,
that? I didn't see that.
yeah, on
I
the
must have
side
been
where it
blind.
says the different, like, schedule in,
I
it'll
know
say
that.
brokers, construction, whatever, it'll kind of describe it off to the side as well. So
Okay.
in the schedule that was presented, even when we put it out for the public, and I know some people are getting it last minute, but, I mean, we had it out in a legal amount of time, that is true.
The thing,
And we've had it in committee, 3 months?
well, the only problem, we never talked about it in here. We didn't talk about it last week and just discuss it, and that's some of the issue right there. We really didn't get comfortable with it because we didn't, we didn't know what it was. I wasn't in that committee, so the rest of us wasn't in that committee really didn't get familiar with it. That's the rub right
I'm
there.
definitely not.
I'm gonna just speak. And I think, and every council member on this council have a right to attend any committee meeting, whether you're on the committee or not. This thing came out of committee, we carried it over for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
No question was asked about what these fees, other than Mr. Jenwright made a call, and I think he sent that with Ms. Beville. Now we're coming to vote on a budget, to talk about a budget over some increases that we talked about that the city of Montgomery needs when they talk about all these things that we need in the city. We want to do this in the city. We want to be like the Birmingham, the Huntsville. But when it comes time to pay for some of these fees, we want to tap dance and pump our brakes and bag up. Now, if we want to be a progressive city going forward, we gave the committee the opportunity to work on it. Some of these council members are assigned to those committees. We done had 3 months.
3 months.
And now, the last day, we're talking about budgeting these increases. Everybody wants to stop.
This is the first time it's been in front of this council.
No, it's
No, it's
not.
not.
No, you dropped it on the last council meeting.
No, the
at
council
the
before
end.
last. So it came out in August, and we had it through August. We
Yeah.
scheduled a public hearing for the last meeting because we needed 14
You did have a public
days.
hearing on
We
it?
couldn't vote on it when it came out of committee. It had
Right.
to come out of committee, and then it had to be put on the agenda. It came out of committee and was placed on the agenda.
It came out of committee at the last meeting and was carried over.
And it was carried
Never
over.
was
So we done had 2
on the
weeks to
agenda
discuss
last
it.
time. It was thrown on our table last time, period.
All right. So,
That's not the way you want to treat the businesses of Montgomery, period.
Mr. Jenwright, I'm not going back and forth, but we're not trying to treat the business of Montgomery any kind of way.
If we
When we started talking about this, everybody had an opportunity to come talk to this council. These committee meetings were public. Did we not advertise them, Ms. Blaylock?
Yes, sir.
Everything was advertised. It came before this council. And my thing, what I'm saying, if we're going to be an aggressive city council and grow this city, we talk about things, then at the 9th hour, we want to stop and say no one knew about it?
Well, yeah, and then I've talked on the radio about it.
Is anyone in the
we did
audience
have-
want to speak about items number 2 and item number 3 and 4? Anybody in the audience want to speak about the revenue increases on the business license fees in the city of Montgomery? Anybody here today want to speak on those items? And I'll ask that same question at 5 o'clock today.
Mr. President, I think the only thing that I was just trying to point out, and one thing, just like we did, and I remember Councilor Johnson and I had kind of a back and forth during the committee meeting when it came to the way we do the bars and restaurants and kind of how you get hit with, if you serve food, then you pay a license for that. If you do alcohol, and we worked our way through that. We worked our way through the small business things. I think that unfortunately what happens is sometimes when this gets released out to the public, there are just some gaps, and one of the gaps is that especially for people that are developers and builders, that they pay for permitting fees and they pay for the licensing fees. And so when you increase that, it came as a bit of a, we missed that one is what I'm saying. And so I just wanted to have time for us to take a look at how that could potentially affect that industry. I think after looking through the small business one and the raise to $50,000, I think that does work out well with this. The only reason I brought it up is because I thought we had a couple of gaps, and I thought that given the fact that this is probably going to last for the next 8 to 10 years, that we might take one more look at it. And then going back to number 3, I mentioned it the last time at the council meeting, the 2 miles. I know that we had talked about entertainment districts. I still have a problem with section 6-4, number 2 on rental halls. The no 2 license for rental halls / event centers shall be permitted to be located within 2 miles of each other. I understand the argument for why we've had moratoriums or had this rule in place, but I do think that it's our job to be regulating on a per case basis. People already have to come to us to get a license approved anyway, and so having the 2-mile stipulation on it, I think limits the opportunities for these to be developed in areas that may want them. I know that the 4 miles previously was in reaction to the use of rental halls as lounges, but I just think, rather than, as I said before, regulating from the assumption that businesses are going to do bad, that we just enforce the rules that we have on the books on a case-by-case basis if necessary. I have no problem with the distance of 250 feet from the churches and private and public schools, universities, daycare, public parks, and community centers. I think Councillor Grimes had added in a distance away from residential areas potentially as well, but I do think the 2 miles is too restrictive for that business. So that would be the only proposal that I would ask for a change on in item number 3.
So you're proposing a change?
Yeah, same as last time, that we remove the within 2 miles.
So what was the adjustment that you asked for?
Just to remove within the number C.
Well, but don't we want some limit? Because we don't need 4 or 5 lumped up together, in all seriousness.
I think that on a
The entertainment districts are excluded already, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. But I mean, I've got some, plenty of opportunities in my district that could, benefit from, having a high, like a great example would be, I've got the 1616 house. It's a high-end luxury wedding venue that's less than 2 miles from the downtown and is not in an entertainment district. And
They're grandfathered in.
I'm saying, but that is an example of somebody that would have been restricted, and if there was another one within 2 miles of that, we would just say that you can't have one, and I'm saying is that we should hear out a business proposal from somebody who wants to potentially do some kind of business in our city that we think could be beneficial.
So you want to hear a business proposal from everybody that has a business idea in the city?
We take a business license proposal from anybody that wants to have a towing company, a liquor license, anybody that wants to have a funeral home, I think cemeteries, crematoriums. I'm just saying is that you got to come before us to get your event hall license.
Andrew, what if we did this? We keep the 2 miles in with an exception. If the local council person wants to bring it to us and said, I love this plan, I've met with them, will we vote on an exception?
Oh man, that's
Oh, I know it's
that's,
open can
I
of
was saying
worms.
that's highly efficient and that makes a lot of sense. So if you're
No,
willing to make
I
that
agree with
substitution,
you,
I'm
but-
good with that. I'm good with that.
It sounds like it's not equitable across the board, because then it's going to be somebody that comes and then we can use this stipulation on them. And then if somebody else comes, we say no. And somebody else comes, we say yes. So we need to put something in writing and stick with it. So if we say no right now and we get back to the situation we had before, it shouldn't be anybody coming back asking for us to change it again.
No, I'm just, again, look, I'm going to offer this up as an amendment or a substitution or whatever the mechanism would be for change. If it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. I'm just voicing that I think that I've always thought, whether it was the 4 miles or now the 2 miles, that's just an unnecessary restriction to have on a business license type. And, I mean, I think that we need to not legislate under the assumption that these businesses are bad.
I don't think that's what it is. It's having the same type of business right next door to each other. So how is that helping the business if somebody's doing the same thing I'm doing right next door to me? You taking money out of my pocket at the same time.
But I mean, I would object. I think that if I had another bar sitting next to my bar would do better.
Andrew, if I'm going to go, I would stick with the 2 and bring it, put a clause in there that they can appeal to the city council person. And
So put an appeal process in there.
put an appeal process. I'd like to get out of that 2 mile. But now if you want to, but I want the 250 feet from a residential neighborhood in there.
I'll offer up the amendment then, and I appreciate that. I just
All right.
want to make sure that we're being fair.
They have to come to council regardless, because it's one of the things that's required to have a resolution. So they have to come to council, even if they meet all the qualifications.
All right. Any other questions on 3 and 4?
Mr. President.
Ms. Beard?
Yes, sir. On this number 3 too, and I think I just spoke with Councilman Johnson on this, just about hours. We don't have any hours
What you mean, hours on?
with the event centers. I mean, we have hours that restrict our bars. but we're not having hours here, and I'm facing this in my district.
I think the license that we offer restricts the hours on bars and restaurants, right?
Well,
It depends on what type license, whether it's a lounge license or go ahead.
Bars and lounges do have restrictions on the hours they operate, but at this time, event centers do not.
but what we have here are event centers, that are kind of skirting around that perimeter
As a bar. or
as a
lounge.
bar, and I mean, they're wide open.
So you're asking to add hours of operation for events and.
Right, and I understand, maybe you're gonna,
What are the hours of operation?
The only restrictions on liquor license is they have to close by 2 in the morning on Sunday morning and can't open until 9. There are no other restrictions on them unless the council places them on the individual liquor license when they come in.
So do you want that same restriction?
yes, I think the same restriction. If they're gonna have if they're serving liquor at that event,
You're saying, Judy, they have to stay up all Saturday night, 6 o'clock Saturday morning.
no, I don't want to play until 6 o'clock.
Well, no, that's what you just said.
Okay.
No, Brenda, that's not no, Ms. Blaylock, no. I think that we need to have a closing time,
She said 2 a.m. on Sundays.
2 a.m. on Sunday.
Sunday's the only time we have a closing.
Yes.
That's what the regular liquor license require,
Yeah.
unless the stipulation's put on by council.
So
Yeah.
you want to do a 2 a.m. period as closing?
That closing.
Now, that's just 2 a.m. Sunday morning, and they can open back up at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning for brunch and serve liquor.
So Ms. Beard, I'm asking you, do you want to, is that what, 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. hours of operation all
To 9
week?
a.m.
What is the proposal?
If this is,
Because if they're an event center or a rental hall, they're not operating all day anyway. They should be going by event or by booking. If there's
Right.
someone doing that outside of that, then they're not an event hall or a rental
Thank
hall.
you. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, you may have a child's party at 10 o'clock in the morning, but you may have an adult birthday party or anniversary event that you may go until 2 o'clock in the morning.
well, most of those are probably finished by 12 or 1, probably.
Probably. So it's not really necessary to put that in there because we're breaking down what a rental hall and an event center is. If they're outside of that, then we can call them to the council for a show cause or a review or something, and then you can let them know or send them a letter or something saying
Okay,
they're
thank you.
operating outside of it.
Thank you. We'll just continue to do that.
Okay.
Fine.
All right.
Item number 5, resolution repealing legislation which created the City County Personnel Board and expressing council's intent to adopt an ordinance creating the City Personnel Board in accordance with Act 2024-337.
All right, council, I'm gonna actually carry this item over. I spoke with Councillor Samansky this morning on some creating a board. What was it that we talked about? The appeals process. And so we want to talk that through our legal counsel to try to come up with what we're going to do with that. So I'm going to carry that over and work with our legal counsel to get that created before we move forward on item number 5.
Okay.
Item number 6, ordinance regulating parking of commercial vehicles on residential property, option 1. And there
Now,
is a substitute.
Item
for
number
that.
6 and 7 have a substitute. Option 1 and option 2. Ms. Riley, you explain option 1 and option 2 to us.
What we do, we already have an ordinance for this, but we have not been enforcing our ordinance. And my thing of it is, it's been a communication talk because residents are asking the questions about this. Why they're allowing tow trucks to be parked in the front street, on grass, on sidewalks, all kind of utility vehicles, industrial vehicles and all. So this is what this is all about for us to decide on how we're going. That's why I have an option 1 and option 2, so that it brings out the communication for us as a council and for the residents, because it's out there, but no one is enforcing it.
Mr. President,
Mr. Mitchell?
just have a couple of questions. So with this ordinance, if I go rent a U-Haul and want to move some stuff out of my house for a day or two, and I get a big box truck, and I'm not able to park that truck in my driveway so I can move my furniture, or if I have a long enough driveway to fit my tow truck, and I'm a small business owner, and I can't go out and buy a brick and mortar am I gonna be put out of business due to that I have I'm sitting on 3 acres and I have enough property and enough gravel to put my tow truck? Or if I'm doing agriculture and I have a tractor and I want to park my tractor, I just don't know, I just don't know, we always say we want to be progressive, we want to be for the small businessman, but everything we do, it says the total opposite.
This is not knocking small business.
But
This has opened the door for us to communicate about what is going on, because your residents in your neighborhoods are concerned, so this gives them the opportunity to talk about it. We have an ordinance, but this opens it up on the public floor for the community, because we need to look at everything dealing with everybody, not just 1 or 2 people, but everybody. So this is why it's open. I'm not saying we're passing nothing. It's open for communication.
And I just want to make sure that we understand. So my question to you, if I go get a U-Haul, that's a commercial vehicle, and I want to move, it's over 15, I got the biggest U-Haul, I want to move my own stuff. If I sit that in my driveway for more than 24 hours, can I be fined? Can somebody call and say he has a U-Haul, he want to move his stuff, and he cannot park it in his driveway to do his own moving of his property?
Councilor Mitchell did not say that. This is an open discussion for the community and the councilor. Because I can get a U-Haul, and how many times, you can ask the community, they ride down the street, there's no U-Haul in nobody's driveway, they park right in front of their street, by that stop sign, when these people are trying to go by and they cannot get past. We have to look at everything when we're doing it. That's why there's an open discussion on the floor for the community and the councilor. That's why it's been put in place, just for us to look at it. You have ordinance. I have the ordinance here. Nobody's looking at them and they're not abiding by them. We've got to do some force of making them look at these ordinances and abide by what we have in place. So this is open discussion for the community and the councilors.
Mr. President.
Mr. Samansky.
And Councilor Riley, I think you and I spoke about this before, and I just kind of echo, kind of what I mentioned to you, is just overall just concern about, again, people that are not doing the right thing with these vehicles, parking in yards or properties that are not theirs, public properties and whatnot, versus, as I said, I've got people in my neighborhood that have, you take like an F-350 or whatever, big trucks that are doing, those are the people that are cutting our lawns and, doing pest control and all that kind of stuff, building our houses, construction and stuff. So I understand the issue, and trust me, get the same calls that I think everybody does about some of these problem things. I'm just not sure that we quite have in this ordinance enough specificity to allow people to take work vehicles home. The other thing I think that, and I know that in some larger cities where you have more parking restrictions, oftentimes you'll see city lots that allow people to park their vehicles, rent spaces and whatnot. I'd be curious to see if that was something, especially from a revenue generation standpoint, if there was another option, but I just don't want to, I understand we're having a discussion. I don't know if this goes into committee or not, but I do want to see a little bit more before we move forward on this item.
All right. Any other questions about item 6?
I don't have any questions, and I'm sorry, somebody may have already said it, but, so the conversions with the Ram 2500 and 3500, that's about the size for 15,000 pounds, and the Ford and Chevys can go to a capacity of about 20,000 pounds. So a lot of them that's doing the towing that I've seen are using those conversions without a trailer. So is this going to be, because it says can't be parked or stored. If they're cutting our yards or doing lawn care, they'll be parked. So is there going to be a timeline on that? Because if they can be parked out there all day.
Paragraph 5
Yes.
says if they're parked temporarily in connection with a bona fide commercial or public service purpose or sales or delivery, that kind of thing, then this does not qualify for that.
Okay. And next, 1A, it says no more than 2 such vehicles per family may be parked or stored on any lot containing a dwelling of such family. What if I have a parking garage and my yard can fit 4 vehicles and we own all of them because it's 4 of us in the household that can drive? So you're saying I can't have my 4 cars and then the 2 in my garage?
No.
That's what this says.
No, listen, this is the ordinance. We have an ordinance. This is opening. Because it's up for discussion. This is why we
Yeah.
have a 1 and 2.
What does the
Because
ordinance
we
say?
need to look at ordinance all around about what we're doing. Because, how many of you all sit right here, up here right now? And I know you get them calls.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Jim Wright?
What's the present ordinance say about number
I'll
cars?
pass it down there, you can read it. Because I had to do my own research on it as well, Mr. Jim Wright. Because I had to take time and read the whole ordinance and go through everything, and I'd be more than happy to let you have
Okay,
it.
well, sit it down.
All right,
Mr. President,
Mr. Grimes?
yeah, I get one thing, Marche, you talked about parking in the yard. You can, I think planning would tell you, you can go and if you put gravel down in your yard and you can park in the yard.
Right.
You
So-
put concrete or gravel, you can park in the yard. Now, you might crack your sewer line, but you can park in the yard.
Right, so I think it should specify.
But how
on
many
that one.
cars?
Maybe
Only
not
two
in the,
park?
not in the yard, not in the grass, not on the curb, which it says already,
Right,
not on the curb.
because we got children going in the street from,
All right, this is not gonna be
Trust
voted
fund.
on tonight, so we're
No,
gonna
it's
have 2
not.
weeks to discuss this. So we're
Right.
gonna move on to item
right.
number 8.
Item 8, ordinance vacating a portion of North Bainbridge Street.
All right, that's self-explanatory.
Item 9, ordinance altering and enlarging the corporate limits of the city of Montgomery by including within the boundaries of the city and incorporating in contiguous council district, District 4.
You know about 8?
Yeah, I'm not talking about 9.
Yeah, 9.
Yeah, we're good. I've already did the research. That's over there near the meta area where they are bringing in so we can
Okay.
get that
I got,
4.3 million.
Mr. President, I got a question.
Yes, Mr. Grimes?
When they do this, does the police jurisdiction expand?
Yes.
Yes.
Or is it remain the same?
No, it expands. It moves 3 miles beyond the city limits.
So now, it was across Hyundai Boulevard, it'll move
Move 3 miles out.
3
Yes,
miles
sir.
on further down.
Yes, sir.
So it's really the distance of Hyundai Boulevard, it'll move that much further, is all it's gonna move.
Yes.
A couple hundred feet further. Right? Because it's already on the Hyundai side. So you're crossing the road, which, 100 feet maybe?
It's on the, yeah. It's over on the meta, meta.
Yeah. All right.
All right, on 31. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So we asked to speak on this, and that was one of our questions. My understanding, we've had a couple of attorneys look at this.
What's your name, ma'am?
Karen Bollinger, live out in Hope Hole. The 2021 state law that was,
Did you, hold on a minute, you say your name, what's your name again?
Bollinger,
Bollinger? You
Karen.
signed up or called in to speak on this item?
I did, I signed up.
For the regular meeting? Yeah. You signed up for the regular meeting? Yes, ma'am. This is the work session, so that meeting started at 5 o'clock. Now, if you want to go, I'll allow you to go ahead and speak on it now if you don't want to stay to 5 since you're already up.
If you don't mind.
Have your way.
So my understanding, the 2021 law on PJs that were passed through the state of Alabama said that if the city annexed land from the PJ could not be expanded, it's frozen. And that's 2021, that's the most recent law on PJs.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So when the discussion came up here, it was, the discussion was, the question was, will the PJ be extended now that there's 1,500 acres being annexed down into Hope Hole for the city limits that has been currently been in the PJ? And the answer was yes, the PJs would extend out past because the annexation. But my understanding from the 2021 state law that was passed states that if the city, if the municipality chose to expand and annex by annexation, the PJ would not extend.
I don't know the answer to that question. I'll have to, I can look it up, I can read the law and see what it says.
Ms. Bellinger, what I'm reading is saying it's in the corporate limits of the city of Montgomery. And what I'm thinking we're talking about is on 31, and she's talking about the metal property. That's not in the PJ.
Yes, ma'am.
It is. It's currently, until you guys change it through this annexation, it's the PJ.
It is. The PJ starts at Monday.
Yeah, but this coming back into Montgomery.
No, this is on the outside.
This is on the other side
it's on the
coming to
south
Hope
side
Hall.
of it.
This is on the south side.
It ain't another property.
Yeah, it's right across the street from Hyundai.
And it is, just so you know, it's 1,500 acres, so it's a large amount of land to us.
Yeah.
Is it a mile? Is the property a mile wide?
It extends more than that. From the freeway, it extends 1.7 miles, a little, 1.7 to 2 miles from the freeway into Hope Hall. Right behind Paris Wixon's place. That's 500 acres, which is Diamond C.
Okay, when it comes within another jurisdiction, then it becomes halfway. The PJ moves halfway, not 3 miles. But if it touches another municipalities,
But we're not a municipality, we're a PJ.
well, you're a town.
No, we're not incorporated, we're not a town.
No, it doesn't affect.
We are a PJ, we are not incorporated and we are not a town, so it
And
does
Pike,
not
that was
touch.
about Pike Road, okay?
Okay,
Pike Road, when they created their PJ,
halfway.
it had to go halfway. You know,
they're not a
Hope Hall's
town.
not incorporated, so it doesn't, it's just a community. It doesn't have a city limit.
Correct.
All right, Charlie, the question is, does the PJ extend from the other side of the Meta property now?
Yeah, it would, right. Whatever the city, line is, as far as whatever's inside the city, it goes to 3 miles from that number, from there.
Well,
So
just-
it's really gonna be about a mile and a half difference, because what she's saying, the Meta property is about 1.7 miles out if you go across it. And then it would have already been 3 miles, so, you know, you're gonna be another 1.7 miles further out.
I would suggest you guys look at it before we vote on this, because I did speak with Luke Kizik, who used to be the state legislative attorney for the last 7 years for the state of Alabama, and that is an incorrect interpretation of the law.
Okay, basically,
Okay.
the property is outside the city limits, so what we're trying to do is annex this property into the city limits.
Understand?
Yeah, she's not worried about that. She's just worried about the PJ moving out, and we would have planning controls on the PJ further out, which would be another about a mile and a half more of it. So what you talk about, we'd go out further.
That's exactly
on,
it.
on that property down there.
Okay. All right. You have your questions been answered?
Just, I had one other question.
Mr. Smith, will you come to the mic, Robert?
I did have one other question just about the annexation. I'm assuming that Meta is choosing to annex because they're getting city abatement for that. Is that correct?
Yeah, our planning director, you can answer that. Go ahead, Mr.
That would be correct. They would be getting city services.
I'm sorry?
Yes, that would be correct. They would be getting city services by
That's not
bid.
my question. Are they getting an abatement to annex into the city limit? Are they getting a tax abatement to annex into the city?
That I do not know. I wasn't involved in the process for whether or not they got incentives or anything like that.
We're getting tax services by them being annexed into the city of Montgomery.
I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
We're getting taxes by them being annexed into the city of Montgomery. So it's beneficial for the city of Montgomery to annex this property into the city of Montgomery.
Totally understand. I'm just wondering, I'm asking the question, is the city giving them an abatement on their property tax for them to annex into the city limit? Very specific question.
Are we giving them a property tax for I'm pretty sure we did give them some type of abatement to bring this project here. I can't speak I don't have that in front of me, and we voted on this months and years ago.
Not about the project, about the annexation.
I can't answer that question for you right now. I don't have that in front of me. All right. Thank you. Thank
The
you.
PJ will not expand. The PJ, you're correct. The PJ does not expand beyond the existing PJ as of January 1st, 2021.
Okay.
They're not, are they?
Yeah, there's a lot of things in there that should be brushed up upon. Because that's not, what's in that state legislation is not necessarily consistent with the way the city is doing certain things. So it's worth revisiting because it's very different than what was stated prior,
Okay.
including taxation.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Item 10, resolution to accept the donation of a park from the East Montgomery Exchange Club to the city of Montgomery.
Sir, what item are you?
It's supposed to be number 9. She pretty well answered all the questions, so it was supposed to be number 9.
Okay.
But you have pretty well addressed or not answered, able to answer.
Okay. What's your name for the record so she can have it for
My
me?
name is Kim, K-I-M, Klein, C-L-I-N-E.
Okay.
And I live out in Hopewell as well.
Okay.
And I would like, and I'm sure there are many here in the audience as well that would like to just tell y'all that we are against any annexation of any farm or residential property.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
If you would, please just keep that in mind.
All right, thank you.
One other quick thing, as far as if you ever do move the PJ out, the new zoning that Mr. Smith had come up and discussed with us in the Clarion meeting, he specifically said when the question was asked that it would even start giving a limit of number of chickens you can have on your property. Now, if you got farmland within the PJ and the new zoning ordinances that Clarion has discussed would come up and give you limits on the number of chickens that you can have on your place, I want you to know there are going to be a lot of people up in arms about that, and as well as having grass that might be a little long because you got cows growing on it or other livestock. You know, there are a lot of things that he said would be followed to the T in the PJ in these new zoning districts that are coming up, and that was discussed. He stood right here at this meeting or at a meeting and said that, right?
Not right.
Yes.
So if,
Hold on, one at a time. Let him address what you made the statement on. Don't
There
tell
was
my
a
mic
couple
up,
that
Robert. I
sat
need you.
right there and asked that specific question. And he said, yes, it would limit the number of chickens you can have. And it even went as far as they were talking about the noise from roosters.
Mr. Klein, let me let him address what you said. Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
yes, sir. So that's not quite correct. Chickens and farm animals are only allowed in agriculturally zoned locations. So if you're in an agriculturally zoned location, then you would be allowed to have farm animals, chickens, things of that nature.
Mr. Klein, I don't think you have anything to worry about, because I'm in the city limits, and if you go right up Lower Wetumpka Road, you'll see plenty of chickens, cows. You might see a couple of goats and emus. So I think
Okay, we're gonna move on from this item, Mr. Robert.
Right.
I heard from you.
And those would be zoning violations that we'd have to go and enforce to.
Well, I need to give you some addresses.
Right.
So
Yeah,
what if you
yes,
have-
ma'am.
Okay.
What if you have residential incorporated within agri? So I have 100 acres and I've got 37,
It sounds like you may be residential agriculture, so
no, one's residential and the other one's ag.
okay, so residential.
So if my chicken walks from my agri and goes to my house, I violated the new city code?
All right.
Are you in the city?
No, she's in the PJ.
So you enforce the same rules in the PJ, so when my chicken goes from my agri portion of my land to my residential, under my zoning right now, or under my zoning right now, then my chicken violates that.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the board
All right, thank you,
Potentially.
thank you. Ms. Blaylock, item number 10.
I've read number 10.
Okay, Ms. Beard,
We'll just take care of this in the business meeting.
you gonna take care of when?
5 o'clock.
5
5
o'clock,
o'clock,
okay.
yes, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Totally confused.
Item-
Thank you.
Item 11.
Application for a restaurant retail liquor license doing business as El Jalisco,
I don't have-
480 Atlanta Highway.
I'm
I
good
hope
with,
that's
Good with
correct.
that?
Good with it.
I'm good with that.
All right.
Item 12, application for a special events retail liquor license doing business as Jazz in the Gardens, Botanical Gardens at Oak Park.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes, sir. I'm actually excited about this. So this is only happening this one time. It's a event to kind of highlight, so to speak, the reimagined Botanical Gardens at Oak Park, and to celebrate the growth that has happened out there. This isn't it's just one event. But, hopefully one of many, but this isn't we're gonna have a bar set up outside at the park, all the
time you gonna
time,
close?
you know. I've had a question about that, so I just want to explain that it's only this.
Did you tell me what time you gonna close and open?
Well, it's not open.
All right, thank you, Ms. Johnson.
You all are all invited as well.
All right, item 13 is the nuisance.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Clerk. In our work session communication roster, Ms. Von Treese McGee, Director of HIV and Prevention. Okay. Ms. Rob, I don't know where
Time,
about.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, that's all right.
Mr. President, do you want me to time?
Yes, 3 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Von Treese McGee with the Alabama Department of Public Health. I'm the Director of the Office of HIV Prevention and Care. I do have additional staff with me with ADPH, and we just wanted to present data in regards to HIV, STD, and syphilis within the city of Montgomery, because those numbers are rising. And just starting a conversation as far as how can we work with the city of Montgomery to have a larger impact in our community in terms of ending the HIV epidemic. So we do partner with you all some in terms of health fairs that take place throughout the city, but we need to do more than what we're doing. And I feel that the only way that we can move it forward is by partnering and having a bigger impact within our city, with the city of Montgomery.
Okay.
My name is Dr. Wes Stubblefield. I am a clinical liaison between the department and our HIV clinics, as well as any of our HIV service sites. We at the Department of Public Health have a mandate to take care of all of the citizens of our state, and particularly here in the city of Montgomery. We understand that we, working together, can reduce the rates of these communicable diseases in our population through education and events. And we are absolutely willing and hopeful to partner with the council and with the city on anything we can do to improve the health and the lives of our citizens.
All right, thank you. Come on, sir.
Yeah, just real quickly, thanks again for the invitation. My name is Tim Hatch. I'm the administrator of the Montgomery County Health Department. Day in and day out, we see numerous people. We are the only fast-track STI or STD testing clinic in the state of Alabama. So we started that back in June of last year, and we're averaging about 250 individuals that come in per month for quick, confidential, and accurate STI testing. We also have our regular or normal visits from our STD clients that also number about 250. So the support from the city of Montgomery is very, very important for us to be able to provide these services. These are uncompensated care, so as you know, anyone that comes to the Montgomery County Health Department, regardless of their ability to pay, will get the services that they need. But we do have to pay for that somehow, and any support that we get, whether it be from local nonprofits or from the cities of in Montgomery County, we only have the town of Pike Road and the city of Montgomery. So your financial support and your ability to help us in other ways is greatly appreciated.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any questions?
I have one. Are y'all going into the schools, in the high schools, and meeting with health teachers and that kind of thing?
Well, currently we do not. We actually fund, within our Office of HIV, we fund organizations throughout the state. Some of those organizations do go into schools.
Right.
Montgomery, we do have a program with public health, the Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Program, and they are in limited schools. The challenge is getting in there.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Riley, for inviting them.
Thank you all so much for coming.
All right. Ms. Ella Martin or Collier Neely?
Good afternoon. Collier Neely, Director for the Land Mark's Foundation. What Ms. Martin is passing out is just a quick packet about an event we've got coming up in October. It's the Harvest Festival on October 19th. It's from 10 to 2. It's a family-friendly event, and we're asking just for a little bit of support from each of you. I know Councillor Beard has committed to us, so has Councillor Zamansky and Councillor Jenwright. Like I said, this is a family-friendly event. It's meant to create community engagement within Old Alabama Town, bring people in, engage kids, show them some of Alabama's history, but also do something fun on a Saturday in the fall.
All right.
Thank you, and welcome, Ella, to the board there. Thank you so much, Collier. I think it's a great event. I've read over everything. Thank you so much for coming down. I think it's a great, fun family event, which we're all looking forward to, the cool weather and so forth. And I believe Ella shared with me that everything that will be at this festival is all Alabama grown. Such our pumpkins will all be from Alabama. All the products that they have coming in to share and sell as well. Everything will be for Alabama, and they're looking for neighborhood associations, districts, council members to do a scarecrow, and they have a scarecrow contest, that kind of thing. All that's in the packet, so it's just a great way to kick off the fall season. Thank you both so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Al Groves, location of MCC.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today, ladies and gentlemen of the council. We are here because we are confused. Over the last couple of months, we've been hearing that we might need to move out of neighborhood services. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we received an email from Director Dow that it was time for us to get out. For more than 5 years, the Clean City Commission has been an active part of neighborhood services brought in by Todd Strange when Amanda Miller was our director. Amanda and Mr. Strange moved us up to 5th floor, where we worked hand in hand with neighborhood services as a one-stop shop for community residents to come in and receive information and materials from neighborhood services, 311, and Clean City Commission. That relationship has continued successfully. Mr. Dowd says that there is an inadequate space for us up there. We question that logic. However, if we are asked to move out, we need a location. You all have provided a location for 40-some years when Susan Carmichael was the director. You paid her salary. You paid the salary of 2 part-time secretaries to cover the office every day. You provided her an SUV, cell phone, and any other materials that she might need in order for us to successfully meet the goals that were put in place when Emory Farmer was mayor and Ann Upchurch began the program. So we are at your mercy. What do you want us to do? Where do you want us to stay? How do you want us to operate?
Thank you, Mr. Grove. Mr. Reed, you want to address that, or Mr. Dow?
I'm not tracking it. I'll let Mr. Dow speak to it.
I thought I saw him walk in.
No, he's outside.
He's outside.
Here he comes.
Hey, Mr.
Thank
Grove.
you, Mr. Grove.
We'll talk about this with Mr. Dow. He's out on the phone, and then
He's right there.
I need to move on. And then I'll get with you on a one-on-one. I'll speak with him today or tomorrow to get with you on what's the reason behind the location move, and do we have any other opportunity for you to be within city space. So I'll reach out.
Mr. President, just real quick, I think it's important for us to know and have a good answer for what this is. I've got one coming up, cleanup, that I know my 2 representatives are doing on Fairview Avenue this upcoming weekend, I believe, and then another one scheduled up in Normandale. So I think it's paramount that we know exactly what the plan is, where they'll be located, because all the resources for these cleanups come from the office space that they're using at 25 Washington.
Okay, I agree with you 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you. But
Mr. President.
Yes.
I mean, that program is such a vital program in neighborhood services. And I know I see some members of that program here, and they all are volunteers.
All right, okay, Mr. Dow, go ahead and explain to us.
Explain to
Mr.
us.
Grove is saying they've been asked to move. or we're planning on putting them in another location. I don't know what the conversation is about. Well, you know, that's kind of beyond the council, but if you hear now, go ahead and explain that to us.
Yes, so back in September of last year, when I became the director, we had a meeting, I met with the Clean City Commission Board and showed them that my vision for neighborhood services is to increase staffing so that we can provide the services that we need. And with that increasing staffing, it causes us to not have space to house them. So right now, he's utilizing a space that my incoming neighborhood services assistant will be occupying. And with that comes all the equipment and stuff that we order for our neighborhood banquet, for our flyers and brochures. And we had this conversation over the past years that we're going to encourage the Clean City Commission. It's an awesome program. In fact, when I first met Al, I told him, I said, I would love to advocate that it become part of the Neighborhood Services Department because it is a valuable entity and we want to keep it in. But as we're growing in neighborhood services, we're running out of space to continue to house their products and our staffing. So I asked them back in September if they would start looking for another facility. And through the course of time, we're now hiring somebody, and so we're going to need that space. So I asked them again to see if they could find another space to locate their products. And that's where we are today.
So is the space the closet where they keep
No,
everything?
ma'am, the space is the desk and the additional things that come along with that. It's not only the closet, but it's the space where Al sits and works. That's going to be occupied by another staff person. And we're in the budget. Thank you so much for approving our increase in the staffing. We're hiring 2 more people. And we just don't have the space, the desk, the space to house the Clean City Commission.
I'm just asking, can the people that you're hiring, can they not help
No, ma'am.
absorb that? So that we've got so much going on that we are moving a department that's been there all those years.
If I may say this, ma'am, the Clean City Commission is a nonprofit organization.
Yes, sir.
And my staff has done their tasks, their jobs. We're still trying to maintain to do their own.
Hey, Mr. Dow,
Yes.
Mr. Beard, I'm going to handle this right because I need to go into an executive session. I want to start fairly around 5:15. Can you guys on the staff get with Mr. Grove and figure out what we're going to do?
But just take me a quick minute. I want to articulate to the council, just talk to Ms. Filliard just text me. We are working to find them an alternative space. So we are in the works on that. So we'll help them get to where they need to go and give them a viable space to operate from.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back, Jeremy. All right.
Mr. President, 2 minutes. I need my 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, can I have 2 minutes? I'd like
Mitchell.
to bring the Second Chance Foundation up. I want to kind of tell you about Second Chance. Second Chance, when we do those due process hearing, and those kids are, when we do those due process hearing and those kids are expelled, usually they're expelled for 1 calendar year. That means they cannot attend NPS school. And most of those students we refer to Second Chance. Ms. Tanya, I just want you to come up here and tell your program and what you're asking of the council today.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tanya Barker. I'm the executive director of the Second Chance Foundation. As Councilman Mitchell said, we serve expelled youth in Montgomery County schools and surrounding counties. So when a student is expelled, MPS decides how long that student is out of school. And these are the students who were expelled from from alternative school. Also, when kids are adjudicated and go through the juvenile justice system, they cannot come back to regular school, so we serve those students also. So our primary focus is counseling, life skills, and our students, as a requirement of our program to return to school, has to do family counseling, individual counseling, group counseling, life skills, and community services. What I would like for the council to do for our agency is to provide us funding so we can continue to do what we need to do. We've had a loss in our funding stream this year. We need to continue to provide these services. We've been in operation for 26 years providing these services. Traditionally, the City Council has not supported us in a big way, and we're asking you guys to help support the most at-risk youth in our community. There's not another agency that does what we do in the state of Alabama, let alone in this city. So we do what we do in a unique way. We don't just send these kids back to school. We continue to provide counseling for them, their families, educational support. So we're asking for funding for the City Council. And I thank you guys so much for your time and attention this evening.
Mr. President, before you leave, ma'am, Rondé, I don't know, well, Councilor Mitchell, excuse me.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to her about our grant process and with our contingency and how we go through that now with nonprofits?
I think that Councilor Riley just brought up a good point. Looking at a line item for them because they do so much for, because right now, since they have been closed due to funding, MPS hadn't been able to send those kids that we expelled anywhere right now. So, and I think that's the biggest problem, their funding. So we just need to look at, they are the only, I think, schools that provide those type of services and that we refer, Montgomery Public School System refer those students to. So I would really consider to look at really funding Second Chance.
All right, thank you. And I think what we do, I want Mr. Mitchell introduce it to Mr. Compton, because I think that falls in our violence prevention wraparound services.
Okay.
So if you guys can get together, there might be some funding in that office to try to help you guys. Thank you. All right, Madam President, any council have anything else before we ask about executive session? Madam President, I'd like the motion to go into executive. No?
You can't make a
Okay,
motion.
Mr. Jim Wright. But
Move to go to
executive session,
To discuss real estate,
real estate.
Miss Bellinger, does this comply? What section?
It's A6.
A6?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we need a vote?
No, we don't need to vote.
Yes, we do. We have to have consensus to
Okay.
go into it.
You want to vote to go into executive session? All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, we will not convene, and the council meeting will start at approximately 5:20.